Is King Charles III in danger? French politician makes sinister threats before royal visit. Exclusive. Left-wing French politician issues shocking threat to British King Charles III before his visit to the country. Stay away from Versailles, warns the politician, as millions prepare to protest on Black Thursday, a day of chaos and disruption throughout France. Hello, noble subjects and curious people from all over the world. If you are fascinated by royalty and want to stay up to date on the latest news and gossip, this is the right channel for you. So, subscribe now to not miss any episodes and stay up to date on everything happening in the world of royalty. The British government is on high alert but does not intend to change the royal visit. Tension is palpable on the streets of Paris, with 5,000 police mobilized to control the large state-sanctioned protests that threaten President Macron's government. Since the president raised the retirement age from 62 to 64 without parliamentary vote, protests have intensified, with constant riots and clashes with police across France. Today, protesters blocked access to the airport, sat on train tracks, and confronted police in a clear demonstration that they will not give up until their demands are met. As tension on the streets of Paris rises, King Charles III and his wife Camilla, the consort queen, have been warned they would be at risk if they proceeded with their scheduled 3-day visit to the city next Sunday. Protesters, who are furious about President Emmanuel Macron's retirement age increase, have shown their disapproval in nightly riots since the measure was implemented by decree last Thursday. And now, with the imminent arrival of the King and Queen, protesters plan to intensify their protests. According to local reports, a sumptuous banquet that was to be held on Monday at the iconic Palace of Versailles, where French King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette lived before being guillotined during the French Revolution, must be postponed due to the risks posed by protesters. However, even with the growing threat to British royalty, the UK government refuses to change its visit plans. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said at a press conference that the palace and government have no intention of altering their plans, despite security alerts. Meanwhile, Jean-Luc Mélenchon, a French political leader and regular presidential candidate, expressed his disapproval of the royal visit and warned the king to stay away from Versailles. "Mr. King, listen, we have nothing against you here, but you are the king of the English, that's your problem, but you should stay away from Versailles," Mélenchon said. Despite the tense atmosphere and security alerts, the British government remains firm in its decision to go ahead with the visit. "We certainly don't enter the realm of dictating that sort of thing to Her Majesty. That will be a decision for them," Sunak spokesperson said in an attempt to show that the government will not be intimidated by protesters' threats. Get ready for the first state visit abroad of the reign of Charles III, following the death of Queen Elizabeth II last year. However, the royal trip is surrounded by controversy, as protesters, including opposition politicians, accused French President Emmanuel Macron of being completely out of touch with the lives of ordinary people as he prepares to receive Charles III at the opulent Palace of Versailles, where the French royalty lived before being guillotined during the French Revolution. Although there is growing anger in the streets, the British government insists that there are no plans to change the visit's plans, despite the risk posed by protesters. The event in Versailles is intended to be the high point of the state visit, with a concert in the royal chapel and a dinner served on Duplessis porcelain plates, made during the reign of Louis XV. Will King Charles III and Queen Camilla be brave enough to face the fury of the French people? Or will the denial of democracy be taken to a new level, with priority given to receiving royalty in Versailles? Follow this developing story and find out. French protesters are planning to disrupt the king's visit and will not provide red carpets for the royals. The British government has not yet cancelled the trip but is monitoring the situation. The CGT union has announced that it will go on strike during the visit, and its members will refuse to provide furniture, red carpets, and flag services for the royal visit. National Furniture Service officials stated that only 24 out of 420 employees went on strike on Thursday. The red carpet was delivered and the unions assured that they would not block the work of non-strikers. In a demonstration in Paris, police used tear gas after protesters threw projectiles and set fire to trash cans, and a McDonald's restaurant was looted. Anarchists from the Black Bloc were seen among the protesters. The unions fear that the protests will become more violent if there is no political response from the government. In addition, anti-Macron protests resulted in 10,000 tons of garbage accumulated in the streets of Paris, and the Roissy-Charles de Gaulle airport was affected by workers' action. Protesters blocked airport terminals, oil depots, prefectures, ports, and other transportation links throughout France. Regional, high-speed trains and Paris Metro, as well as public transportation systems in other major cities, were interrupted. Police used tear gas and water cannons in several cities to contain the protests. Union leaders have called for calm, but were angry at the provocative comments made by French President Emmanuel Macron. These events were the 9th round of national protests and strikes called by the 8 major unions in France since January. Macron insists on increasing the retirement age from 62 to 64, despite strong popular opposition. Critics have called his statement arrogant, out of touch, and offensive. Protests across France against pension reform and Macron's leadership have intensified in recent days, with many protesters calling on the president to listen to the needs of the people. Opinion polls show that the majority of voters oppose raising the retirement age, and protesters have expressed their dissatisfaction with the government by targeting the president with slogans and banners. Police estimate that participation in demonstrations against pension reform may exceed previous ones. The CGT union claimed that about 800,000 people marched in Paris. The government approved the bill without legislative approval, invoking a constitutional provision. The bill will now undergo review by the Constitutional Council. President Macron has defended the reform, stating that the retirement system needs to be modified to be sustainable, while opponents propose different solutions, such as higher taxes. Like the video? Give it a thumbs up, and if you don't want to miss any videos, subscribe to the channel. It will help me a lot. Thank you until next time.